On the 22nd of January, 1879, the most powerful empire on earth marched into Zululand to crush a kingdom armed mostly with spears. By the end of that afternoon, over 1,300 British and colonial troops were dead, wiped out by that primitive army in one of the worst defeats the British Empire ever suffered. And for nearly a century, people explained it with one neat little excuse. The British ran out of bullets because their ammunition boxes were screwed shut and nobody could open them fast enough. It's a great story. It's also basically a lie. A cover story for a much more embarrassing truth. The British didn't lose Isandlwana because of that stuck screw. They lost it because their general split his army in half and walked into a trap. So this is the story of how that happened. The British commander was Lord Chelmsford, and he was confident. Maybe the most dangerous thing a general can be against an enemy he doesn't respect. He pushed a column into Zululand and made camp at the foot of a strange, sphinx-shaped mountain called Isandlwana. He did not fortify it. He didn't circle the wagons into a defensive square, a lager, the way an experienced local bar settlers practically begged him to. The ground was hard. The camp was temporary, and besides, who needed walls against men with spears? Then, the Zulu dangled the perfect bait. Chelmsford got reports of a Zulu force moving away to the east, and he took the obvious move. He split his army, marched out with roughly half his men to go find and smash them, and left the camp at Isandlwana behind him, lightly held and undefended. And the Zulu had been watching. The force he chased was a decoy. While Chelmsford marched off after a shadow, the real Zulu army, the main body, tens of thousands strong, was hidden a few miles from his undefended camp, sitting in a total silence in a ravine. Their commanders hadn't even planned to attack that day. The moon wasn't right. And then a British patrol, riding along the edge of the ravine, chasing a few cattle, looked down and saw the entire Zulu army staring back at them. Perhaps 20,000 of them. The secret was blown, so the Zulu rose up out of the earth and came on immediately with no orders needed, in the formation they had trained for their whole lives. They called it the horns of the buffalo. A heavy center, the chest, pinned the enemy in place, while two fast horns swept out wide on either side to curl around the flanks and meet behind them. Encirclement. A trap that swallows you whole. At first, the British firing line did its job. The martini-henry was a hard-hitting rifle, and the volleys tore holes in the charging Zulu. For a while, the line held. But the line was the problem. To cover a camp that was never walled in, the British had stretched themselves thin. A fragile firing line strung out over a mile, with big gaps, and far in front of their own tents and supplies. As long as it held, fine, but it only had to break in one place. Now, here's the part the excuse hides. Yes, at some point ammunition got tight on parts of the line, but modern archaeology dug up that battlefield and found the metal liners of open ammunition boxes scattered all along where the troops fought. The boxes were being opened. The lid was held by a single screw, or you could smash it open with one good smack of a rifle butt. The neat screwed shut boxes story doesn't hold up. It was never really about the bullets. What actually broke the British was the math. The thin, overstretched line simply could not cover the ground. The horns of the buffalo reached the open flanks, curled in behind the camp, and cut the soldiers off from each other and from any escape. Once the line cracked in one spot, the whole thing folded, and a battle became a massacre, close up with spears among the tents. Cause of death? Not a screwdriver. Isandlwana was lost before the first shot, the moment a general too proud to dig in split his army and left his camp open. The bullets running low was a symptom. The disease was a thin red line stretched across the ground it could never hold, by a man who didn't think he'd need walls. The ammo box story came later, because we got out generaled by an army with spears is a much harder thing to admit. The Zulu won the most stunning victory of the war. It cost them dearly, well over 1,000 of their own dead, and it terrified the empire into a brutal, overwhelming response. Before you go, 3 quick things. 1. That very same evening, just a few miles away, a tiny garrison of about 150 men fought off thousands of Zulu at a mission station called Rorke's Drift, and the British leaned hard on that one heroic stand to bury the humiliation of Isandlwana in the headlines. 2. The battle happened during a partial eclipse of the sun, and some who were there swore the sky dimmed over the slaughter. 3. The Zulu had rifles too, taken and traded over the years. Isandlwana wasn't quite spear versus guns. It was mostly a story of being outthought and outflanked. This was Kranky Battles, where every war is badly drawn. Subscribe before someone screws a lid shut on you.